56 hours. That is how long Ship 40 has been confirmed to remain afloat on the Indian Ocean, after a landing that, by rights, should have ended in an explosion, as it had every time before. But there is one detail few people have noticed. At hour 12, there were reports that it was still transmitting data back to the ground. At hour 56, technical data recorded that the signal had stopped. So what happened in the interval between? Was Ship 40 still talking to SpaceX? Or are we merely looking at a silent hulk drifting on the sea? The answer will reveal something larger, whether SpaceX is about to build the capability to recover an entire upper stage. Go watch the video now. 3 assumptions are circulating across social media about Ship 40. All 3 sound plausible, and all 3 are, at least in part, being misread. I will take each one apart, then return to the core question. Has its signal actually gone dark or not? Assumption 1. Ship 40 survived entirely by luck. Almost every other channel is telling the story along these lines, but it's not accurate. According to some people who followed the flight's live stream closely, the SpaceX team said on air that they had been trying to achieve an intact splashdown like this one for quite some time. This was simply the first time they succeeded. If that is true, then this was not luck. It was a deliberately pursued engineering objective, finally attained after repeated attempts. This distinction matters because it entirely changes how the ship's value should be viewed. A random outcome is difficult to repeat. An engineering objective that has already been achieved can be repeated and refined in subsequent flights. I am placing this piece of information at medium confidence, since it comes from someone who followed the live stream, not from an official text released by SpaceX. But it is significant enough that you should not rush to accept the pure luck version that most other outlets are telling. Assumption 2. No ship was standing by, so recovery is essentially impossible. This is something I myself put forward in a previous video, and it is only half right. The support vessel Go Australis has been confirmed as the splashdown support ship, chartered by SpaceX specifically for this very flight, not some vessel that merely happened to be passing by. It used dynamic positioning to hold station close beside Ship 40's hull. But there is a part few people are mentioning. Being chartered to support a splashdown does not equate to possessing the capability to recover the vehicle. According to analysis from a platform that specializes in aggregating public data, there is no evidence that Go Australis carries a crane or heavy lift equipment. It is quite possible its actual task was only to observe and hold position, not to haul a steel hull weighing dozens of tons, one showing signs of leaking, back to shore. The accurate answer is neither there is a ship, so it will certainly be recovered, nor there is no ship, so it will certainly be abandoned. Rather, there is an observation vessel on site, while the actual capability to recover remains an open question. Assumption 3. And this is a classic news trap. SpaceX has long had a plan to recover Starship in Australian waters, so this is nothing unexpected. Search online and you will find an article stating that SpaceX once negotiated to land and recover Starship off the coast of Australia. Sounds like it fits today's story perfectly, doesn't it? That article was published in July 2024, 2 years ago. This is precisely one of the most common traps when searching for SpaceX news. An old article about negotiations that never became reality that happens to coincidentally match today's event geographically, leading readers to mistake it for a plan that had already been prepared in advance. In fact, those negotiations never became an actual operational capability. The idea is 2 years old. As for the capability to execute it, to this day, no one has confirmed it exists. 3 assumptions, 3 distinct layers of misunderstanding. Now back to the original question. At hour 12 after splashdown, some initial sources recorded that Ship 40 was still transmitting data back to the control center. Notably, at least 2 independent aggregating sources both repeated this detail, though without specifying exactly how long it remained accurate. The belief that the ship was still talking spread fairly widely, not something a single video can easily overturn entirely. But by hour 56, when radar satellite imagery from Umbra Space confirmed Ship 40's position, a technical aggregating source that closely tracks every Starship prototype updated the status. Signal has stopped, current condition unknown. This is where a bit of critical thinking is required, rather than simply choosing to believe whichever side sounds more plausible. It is quite possible that both were true at different times. Ship 40 transmitted data well in the early hours, then the signal gradually weakened, until at some point it vanished altogether. Why is this possible? According to specifications SpaceX has previously published, Starship's batteries are designed to operate for a maximum of roughly 48 hours while in orbit. A hard limit, not an estimate. And if assumption 1 is correct, that survival was a deliberate objective, then there is a far more interesting possibility. Ship 40's electrical system may perhaps never have been designed to operate beyond that 48-hour limit, even while floating on the sea rather than flying in orbit. The signal cutting out may not be an unintended fault, but quite possibly precisely a pre-programmed limit, one that simply no one had carefully checked before still alive spread everywhere. Still only a hypothesis, not yet a confirmed fact, but one resting on far sturdier technical grounds than merely guessing that the ship must be damaged from taking on water. As for SpaceX, as of this video going out, the company has remained entirely silent about Ship 40's current condition, as well as about any concrete recovery plan. The phrase, "a recovery team is heading toward Ship 40, has spread rather widely over the past few days, but traced back to its origin, there is nothing from the company at all. To sum it up, so it is easy to remember, what is certain? The ship has remained afloat for 56 hours. The vessel Go Australis was chartered specifically for this flight. What is grounded, but not yet certain? That SpaceX deliberately aimed for this outcome, that the signal cut out due to a battery limit. What is merely rumor, heavy lift recovery capability, and a finalized plan to bring the ship back. That is how an engineer reads the news, not believing whatever sounds most compelling, but believing what multiple independent sources jointly confirm, while knowing precisely the limits of each source. If this breakdown helps you read SpaceX news with a clearer head, leave a like for me. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, now is a sensible moment, because I will update as soon as there is official confirmation. Why is recovering a ship that is nearly intact so valuable, despite the cost being no small matter? SpaceX has had this experience before, on a far smaller scale. After the 4th flight, they recovered engine components from the tail of Booster 11. After the 6th flight, additional parts from Booster 13, including composite wound pressure vessels. But both times, these were only fragments, ones that had already suffered heavy impact, sunk to considerable depth, and soaked in seawater before being salvaged. Those 3 factors severely limited how much detail engineers could analyze. Ship 40 is entirely different. Recovered in a condition close to its present state, this would be the first time SpaceX engineers have had an entire ship, rather than a pile of wreckage, to study. The difference between reading an X-ray film and actually cutting it open to look with one's own eyes, a far fairer comparison than merely listing events, set Ship 40 alongside SpaceX's own Dragon spacecraft. Every time Dragon lands, a dedicated recovery ship is always standing by from before splashdown, maintaining continuous communication, beginning recovery in under an hour, a system built for a vehicle planned from the outset for intact recovery. For Ship 40, the original objective was only a soft landing, nothing more. This is not SpaceX, performing worse with Starship compared to Dragon. It is 2 different problems at 2 different stages of the same journey. Dragon has already been operationally flown dozens of times. Starship is still in the process of proving it can fly at all. It has not yet reached the point of proving it can recover its upper stage, a general pattern across the entire reusable rocket industry, not a weakness unique to SpaceX. There remains one more piece that will determine the pace of every subsequent plan: the flight license. At present, the Federal Aviation Administration permits Starship only to re-enter and land in the Indian Ocean, and has not yet approved upper stage landings at Starbase. To attempt a tower catch on the next flight, SpaceX is obligated to first apply for a license modification. A ship that survived nearly intact with clear re-entry data is far weightier evidence in that modification application than video and remote telemetry alone would be. Ship 40 still existing carries not only internal engineering value, it could directly affect the pace at which SpaceX is permitted to attempt a tower catch at the launch site. Should SpaceX confirm an official recovery plan, that would be the strongest evidence that the ship still holds enough value to warrant investing real resources. Should there be no action at all over the coming weeks, that too would be an equally valuable data point, indicating that the remotely gathered data was already sufficient, and that the cost of recovery was not commensurate with the benefit. For the first time, SpaceX stands before a genuine strategic question, whether or not to build upper stage recovery capability. This question ties directly into a larger goal of the entire program, refueling directly in orbit, a mandatory step toward going beyond Earth. Every ship that survives and returns, even if only as a bare hull like Ship 40, carries real data that no computer simulation can ever fully replace. Whichever direction is chosen, that decision will say a great deal about the near-term future of the entire Starship program, more than anything Flight 13 alone has just proven. Ship 40 is still afloat, its signal far less certain. Thank you for breaking this down together with me to the end. Like, comment, subscribe to the Space Brief. A related video is waiting right there.